So, so very good afternoon to all of you at this SOGM virtual session on Delhi healthcare system preparedness to combat the third wave of Delhi of COVID. We are very fortunate to have Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Government of NCT of Delhi, Shri Satyendra Jain, along with eminent galaxy of experts, including Dr. Lalit Khetan, Chairman, Central Region Development Council SOGM, and Chairman and Managing Director of Radico Khaitan Limited, Dr. Sudhir Kalan, Chairman, Healthcare Council of SOGM, and Senior Consultant and Chairman, Institute of Minimal Access Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, Sir Gangaram Hospital. Dr. Vivek Nangia from Max Hospital will be joining us shortly. Madam Upasna Arora, Co-Chair Healthcare Council of SOGM and Co-Chair of Empowerment Council of SOGM, and she's also the Chairperson of Yashoda Super Specialty Hospital. So first of all, I would like to invite Dr. Lalit Khetan ji to deliver the welcome address at this session.
Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Government of NCT Delhi, Dr. Sudhir Kalhan, Chairman, Healthcare Council SOGM, and Senior Consultant and Chairman, Institute of Minimal Access Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, Sri Gangaram Hospital, Mrs. Upasana Arora, Co-Chair, Healthcare Council SOGM, and Chairperson, Yashoda Super Specialty Hospital, Dr. Vivek Nangia, Chief of Pulmonology, Principal Director and Head, Institute of Respiratory, Critical Care and Sleep Medicine, Max Hospital, Saket, distinguished guests, participants, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. As the Chairman, Central Regional Council, on behalf of SOGM, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you for joining us today at this very important virtual session on Delhi healthcare system preparedness to combat third wave of COVID-19. We are privileged and honored to have among us Honorable Minister Sri Satyendra Jain ji, who spared his valuable time for this program. COVID-19, a global pandemic of this scale, is unlike anything experienced in the modern times. Over 18 months now, entire world is suffering from COVID-19, and we have seen devastation weakened by coronavirus pandemic and tragedies inflicted on all communities. The second wave reflects the need to expand India's healthcare system, infrastructure, and better preparedness for viral epidemics and pandemics of this kind. Honorable Minister, sir, under your able leadership, Delhi government has managed COVID carefully. But in spite of all the efforts being made, Delhi has faced major crisis which needs to be taken into consideration to prepare for the third wave, if at all it hits. India, being the second largest populated country in the world, managed the spread of COVID and mortality diligently. India's population is equal to 6 major countries of the world combined, that is, United States, Russia, Mexico, Brazil, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. Delhi government has taken a lot of initiatives to support Delhiites. Delhi was the first one to start with plasma therapy for severe patients and creating plasma banks. They initiated creation of COVID care centers and presented the model of home isolation to the world with distribution of free pulse oximeters. Corona Rapid Test Mobile Clinic in bus were organized. Ration distribution to underprivileged and financial aid guaranteed to those who lost their kin. Delhi government has provided dedicated resource to vaccinate workers for industries which has 100 employees or more. Close to 1 crore people are vaccinated in Delhi, and all over India, over 43.5 crore people are vaccinated, including single and double dose. In the second wave, challenges faced by our citizens were shortage of oxygen, hospitals, medicines, and ambulance. Mortality in the second wave at the peak in Delhi was 448 per day. Cases reported per day at peak was over 28,000 per day. Based on the lessons learned from the first and second wave, it is very important to augment both public and private facilities in terms of a properly equipped transport network along with oxygen beds and critical care beds equipped with ventilators. The existing field hospitals which have been built across Delhi should not be dismantled in the interim. Sir, we are very happy to learn today from the newspaper that you are creating hospitals and also you are creating 7,000 beds. The only concern we have that these beds would be on after 5 to 6 months. But what we understand from general knowledge that COVID third wave might come in the month of October as early as that. So that gap, we don't know how would we balance out that gap. That may be very important, sir, which we'd like to know from you. The important elements like oxygen cylinder, concentrators, ventilators, ICU beds all need to be ready in increased number to be prepared for the third wave. Sir, there are a few more suggestions from our side. Vaccination of workers should be mandatory to work in industries and factories, and industries should be empowered to vaccinate their employees. Encourage private companies to manufacture equipments required for COVID treatment. Different components can be made by different companies, like automobile industries. They can manufacture parts for the ventilator, and this has been done very successfully in United States. Under the Corporate Social Responsibility Section 135, 2% of the profit has to be spent in corporate social responsibilities. Companies can be asked to spend a certain percentage of the CSR fund on COVID relief only. Fourth and fifth year medical students and nurses in last semester can support the medical team. This will increase the number of healthcare professionals. Incentive to pharma companies can be introduced to manufacture COVID medicines and steel companies to manufacture oxygen cylinders. Some of the other areas of focus include stringent check on public gatherings, even by punitive legal means during the ongoing pandemic, the emphasis on safe behavior including mandatory masking, social distancing, and hand hygiene at public places to be reinforced. I would also like to share that our company, Radico Khaitan, is also doing its bit to support nation to fight the wave of COVID. Radico is setting up complementary 6 oxygen plants at various places. It has been continuously distributing complementary sanitizers to various towns and villages. And sir, our staff, whether in the plant, whether in the office, everywhere, have been 100%, they have been vaccinated. So I would also like to hear that for more than 1.5 months, when the pandemic was at its peak, on a daily basis, I was doing Zoom call for 1.5 hours together with Dr. Nangia to support friends, family, and anyone who needed medical support at that time, like so many others who must be doing the same. ASSOCHAM has initiated the process of installing 14 PSA plants in government hospitals across nation in different states. In Delhi, we are installing 2 PSA plants, one in Chacha Nehru Bal Chikitsalaya Hospital and one in Rao Tularam Memorial Hospital. At last, I would say, it appears that the second wave has diminished, as in Delhi, cases reported on a daily basis are now under 75, and the experts have all kinds of theories on the third wave. Even today I read in the paper that this was, I think, the third time that there were no deaths reported for this as far as Delhi is concerned. Dear sir, today we are privileged to have with us people like Dr. Dangia, Dr. Kalhan, Commodore Navneet Bali, who are experts in medical field to talk about the preparedness of third wave of COVID, and particularly Mr. Jain, we would like to know from you, sir, how government is planning and preparing for third wave if at all it comes. I would like to conclude by saying, जीतूंगा मैं यह खुद से वादा करो, जितना सोचते हो कोशिश उससे ज्यादा करो, जितना सोचते हो कोशिश उससे ज्यादा करो, तकदीर भी रूठे पर हिम्मत ना टूटे, तकदीर भी टूटे पर हिम्मत ना टूटे, मजबूत इतना अपना इरादा करो. I would like to conclude by thanking each and every one of you present, particularly to Mr. Jain, particularly to all the doctors who are present. I hope this webinar would be very helpful to many people. And sir, thank you very much, and Jai Hind. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And now I would like to invite Dr. Sudhir Kalhan, Chairman, Healthcare Council of ASSOCHAM, and Senior Consultant and Chairman, Institute of Minimal Access, Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, Sir Gangaram Hospital, to share the industry perspective on this topic.
Thank you, Avinash. First of all, like to thank ASSOCHAM for giving us this opportunity. I'm grateful to Satyendra Jain ji. I'm grateful to Dr. Vivek Nangia and all other people who've taken out, Mr. Khitan, who've taken out time out of their busy schedule, and especially the Minister, sir, for sharing the podium with us. You see, first of all, I really pray to God that we don't have a second wave. We all pray to God that we don't have a third wave. But then it just might be inevitable that some kind of a third wave might evolve. The magnitude, the timing, I don't think any one of us can actually predict very well. However, at the same time, I think being the Chairman, National Council for Healthcare at ASSOCHAM, we had a lot of interactions during the second wave when I think there was a chaos in the city and we had a lot of problems. But although everybody talks about the problems which happened in the second wave, I think at the same time we must congratulate the Delhi government and the administrative staff of Delhi government. And at Gangaram, we saw Mr. Raghav Bell. He was standing throughout the night with us, trying to sort out the problems, and all the administrative people were there standing. So no doubt, the second wave took us by surprise. They hit us very badly. But nobody is actually saying that the number of deaths, the number of morbidities and mortalities could have been much, much, much higher. So I think although we did save a lot of problem, I think we all stood up very well and we did manage to save a lot of lives, and everybody deserves some credit for that. At the same time, I think there were a lot of lessons to be learned during the second wave, and I think Dr. Nangia and all others, my colleagues, will also point out the things which shortcomings which were there and which we can be prepared and try to see to it that it doesn't happen in the future. So on my own, I had discussed with a lot of my colleagues at Gangaram and other places, a lot of patients, a lot of RWAs and other people, and I've actually noted down a few things. And if you ask me, I think the management of a possible third wave can only be done if we work on all the verticals. So if you ask me, the first important vertical, no doubt, is the preventive vertical. That means prevention is better than cure, and we all have been telling that in the medical field always. So emphasizing and re-emphasizing about the COVID appropriate behavior in terms of masking, in terms of washing hands, and preventing overcrowding, especially in the air conditioning areas. All the things important, I think, and the government is doing a great job by regularly advertising. We are doing at the hospitals, everybody in social media, everybody I think is doing it, and it should not stop. That continuous messaging should be there so that the public does not become kind of fatigued, and after some time, they start going to malls and start going to public places, take off their masks. So we keep on telling them all is not over yet. It might just come. and people are ready to listen to you this time, because I don't think there's any family which did not have a casualty in the second wave or was directly or indirectly not involved. So that is one vertical is, of course, the continuous messaging of the COVID appropriate behavior. The second most important lesson, which I think we have learned from people all over the world, we keep on talking to our friends in the US and the Europe and other places, and they tell us that the resurgence of the COVID variants, the Delta variant and the other variants is happening US, happening in Europe, happening in China and other places. But what are the observations? The observations are that this is happening more in the non-vaccinated population, one. And secondly, if it's happening in the vaccinated population also, the severity is less in the vaccinated group. Also, the incidence of ICU admissions has gone down tremendously in all those countries and cities where the vaccination percentage is high. So, as the government is already doing, vaccination might hold the key to ultimately defeat the pandemic. And you see, there's a time when we should wait for the consumer to come to us. Now the time has come to go to the consumer. So we have to now try and get those people who are a little hesitant to get the vaccination by encouraging them and making it simpler for them. For example, already major hospitals, dispensaries they're doing the vaccination. But I would request the minister that some of the vulnerable people, the elderly and who cannot come to the hospitals, is there a provision that through some ambulance services or tie up with some home care organizations, we can send the vaccinations and get these elderly people vaccinated at home? That is one aspect. Also, in terms of surveillance, you see, another important thing which we noted until date is a problem is that the time taken for an RT-PCR to be reported is still very high, and that leads to a lot of problems because patients sometimes stay outside in the casualties, hospitals, and the treatments are not started. So is there any way in which we can bring down this response time because outside Delhi, or near around Delhi, sometimes they take about 24 to 48 hours to give the report, and that creates a logistic problem with treating these patients. So can we improve that? Can we increase the number of testing facilities? Can we bring down the result time? Can be brought down so that we have faster results? So that is another issue which bothers a lot of my colleagues, and they wanted that and there are now some rapid tests which have been developed. In Gangaram, we can now give you a report in 20 minutes, and that has changed a lot of the biofires and other investigations, which I think should be available. So you have a fast response and faster result, and you can manage these patients, because it is not fair. Secondly, sir, important thing is in terms of surveillance. And I think somehow the surveillance has gone down, and it is very important that all districts and sub-districts must be monitored through a control room as to the number of positive cases which are coming out. And if we find that certain markets, certain flats, certain societies, their numbers go up, then that immediate clamping and lockdown should be done, because that is a lesson we have all learned, that it is very important to contain this and contain them efficiently. I think the government did it this time, and when they had Lajpat Nagar or some other markets not following, they immediately were told to stop down, and then the shopkeepers got together and they understood that the importance was that they must have a COVID appropriate behavior. So I think some kind of surveillance has to be done, and the districts and sub-districts and pockets should be marked out and mapped properly, and surveillance should be done, and early lockdown and clamping should be done. Another thing, sir, in terms of surveillance only, especially might be very relevant in the third wave or subsequent waves, is the genome mapping. And somehow we are abysmally low in the genome mapping that we are doing of the cases. In fact, India is about 124th in the number of percentage of cases that we are doing a genome mapping. So unless we do a genome mapping, we cannot probably follow what are the variations or the mutations which are happening. And it is very important that some subset of the population which is must undergo a genome mapping, so that constantly we know what mutations are happening and make a note of them. Important another thing which feedback I got from a lot of my healthcare people, doctors, friends, was that no doubt it is important to save lives in a pandemic like ours, but at the same time the lives of non-COVID patients is also very important. Somehow in the last 2 years or so, because of our focus towards COVID patients, we had a lot of casualties of people who had non-COVID disease and required an ongoing treatment. For example, cancer survival patients, patients who needed who had hematological disorders, patient who needed dialysis, patient who needed some urgent surgery. And so I think now, since we are reasonably in control of the whole thing, we have understood it is very important that we plan out in such a way that the COVID and the non-COVID patients are both, properly treated and managed. Every life is important, whether it is a COVID life or a non-COVID life, and everything should be important. Also, sir, in our suggestion is that in many of the hospitals, if you see, there are the surgical specialties and the non-surgical specialties, and most of the COVID patients are managed by the physicians. But at the same time, I think there was a suggestion that many of the surgeons and the surgical specialties who are equally qualified can be given a short orientation program and should also be involved in the treatment of COVID patients. And in our hospital, we did that. And some of the wards were managed by the surgical specialties, and that took a lot of load over the physicians.
So this, we just got the information from Minister's office that he has another meeting. So
maybe I can stop in between and we can take the input from the minister and then we can continue. I think we will like his inputs. They're very, very important. So Jain sir, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. So now we would like to invite our chief guest for this session, Shri Satyendra Jain ji, Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Government of NCT of Delhi, to deliver the inaugural address.
नमस्कार। देखिएगा, जो ये पेंडेमिक है, ये सेंचुरी का पेंडेमिक है, किसी 1 साल या 2 साल का नहीं है। 100 साल पहले ये बीमारी पहले आई थी 1918 में, और अब ये 2020 में दोबारा से आई, 100 साल के बाद आई। किसी ने अपनी जिंदगी में ये बीमारी देखी नहीं थी पहले, और इसका रेस्पॉन्स क्या होगा किसी को आइडिया नहीं था। शुरू में काफी सारे हिट एंड ट्रायल्स से कैसे बिहेव करेगा वायरस, किसी को पता नहीं था। बट अब काफी हद तक पता लग गया है कि ये इसका जो बिहेवियर है, इतना तो सर्टेन है कि काफी अनसर्टेन है कि कैसे ये बिहेव करेगा। सर्टेनली ये कहना कि नहीं कब तक इसकी वेव नहीं आएगी या नहीं आएगी, दिस इज नॉट पॉसिबल। बट ये हो सकता है कि वर्स्ट के लिए तैयारी करना बेटर है, कि जो भी 3 सिनेरियो आप बनाते हैं, बेस्ट सिनेरियो, एवरेज सिनेरियो एंड द वर्स्ट सिनेरियो, तो जो भी तैयारी आप करें तो वर्स्ट के हिसाब से करके चलना बेटर है। अभी जो सेकेंड वेव थी, देश में सेकेंड थी, पर दिल्ली में 4th वेव थी, कंफर्म्ड 4th वेव थी दिल्ली के अंदर। इससे काफी सारी लर्निंग्स मिली। इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट ये भी था कि जैसे हमने जो रेस्ट्रिक्शंस हैं, रेस्ट्रिक्शंस को हमारे को अभी तक ये बताया गया था, ICMR हमेशा कहती थी 5% पॉजिटिविटी से अगर कम है तब तक चिंता करने की बात नहीं है। 5% का बेंचमार्क रखा हो, तो वो अभी भी कह रहे हैं 5% इज द बेंचमार्क। बट हमने इसको चेंज कर दिया है कि बेंचमार्क इज नाउ, हमारे लिए जो अलार्म बेल है दैट इज 0.5%। दिल्ली में जो पॉजिटिविटी रेट है अभी दैट इज लेस देन 0.1%, 0.1 से भी ज्यादा कम है। 1000 सैंपल हम करते हैं, टेस्ट करते हैं, तो एक एवरेज हमारे को पेशेंट मिलता है। अगर ये बेंचमार्किंग मतलब 5 पेशेंट पर 1000 हो जाता है, 0.5% हो जाता है, तो फर्स्ट लेवल ऑफ रेस्पॉन्स हमारा स्टार्ट हो जाएगा कि चीजें रेस्ट्रिक्शंस हम स्टार्ट कर देंगे। एंड जो 5% है दैट विल बी कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन। पिछली बारी हमने जो लॉकडाउन किया था उसमें ये पता लगा कि भाई जिस दिन लॉकडाउन किया उससे भी 10 दिन के बाद तो पीक आती है। आपने कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन किया है, उस दिन पीक नहीं, उससे डिक्लाइन स्टार्ट नहीं होता, क्योंकि जो ऑलरेडी इन्फेक्टेड है वो जो सामने आते हैं 4-5 दिन के बाद आना स्टार्ट होते हैं, कुछ 7 दिन के बाद आना स्टार्ट होता है। तो ये बिल्कुल क्लियर हो चुका है। इस बारी लर्निंग में ये पता लगा कि आपको कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन तब लगा देना है जब 5% पे आप आ जाए। 5% इज द लास्ट लिमिट। तो 5% पे अगर कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन करेंगे तो तब भी 10, 12, 15 तक जा सकता है पॉजिटिविटी रेट, जो कि इस बारी 36% तक गया था। हमने जब पॉजिटिविटी 14-15% थी तब हमने लगाई थी, कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन किया था। तो एक दिन के लिए 36 भी गया था, ये काफी ज्यादा गया था। तो एक तो ये है कि हमने जो रेस्पॉन्स करना है, रेस्पॉन्स के लिए हमने ग्रेडेड रेस्पॉन्स सिस्टम बना के पब्लिक भी कर दिया है कि जनता को भी ये ना लगे कि सरकार क्या करेगी, कैसे करेगी, दैट इज ओपन फॉर ऑल। हमने बता दिया है कि इतने % पॉजिटिविटी होगी तो हम ये करेंगे, इतने % पॉजिटिविटी ये करेंगे, इतने % पॉजिटिविटी हो तो ये करेंगे। इसके बावजूद भी हम ये मान के चलते हैं कि अगर मान लो पिछली बारी से भी ज्यादा तेज कोई लहर आती है, पहला काम तो ये है कि हम जल्दी से रेस्ट्रिक्शंस लगाएंगे। उसके बावजूद हम मान के चलते हैं जितने पेशेंट पिछली बार आए थे उतने आ जाते हैं, उससे ज्यादा तब भी आते हैं, तो हम इसकी तैयारी कर रहे हैं। इस बारी 37,000 बेड्स टोटली डेडिकेटेड फॉर कोविड हम तैयार कर रहे हैं। पिछली बार हमारे पास 23-24,000 थे। 37,000 में से ज्यादातर, जैसे डॉक्टर साहब कह रहे थे, डॉक्टर साहब गंगाराम से बोल रहे थे कि भाई ऐसा ना हो कि सारे हॉस्पिटल 100% सिर्फ कोविड के लिए रह जाएं, कुछ तो पोर्शन का नॉन कोविड भी छोड़ना ही पड़ेगा। तो हमने फील्ड हॉस्पिटल्स काफी सारी तैयारी चल रही है। अभी हमने 1200 बेड आईसीयू बेड्स बनाए थे 3 जगह पर, 500 जीटीबी हॉस्पिटल, 500 एलएनजेपी रामला ग्राउंड के अंदर और 200 छतरपुर में। तो दैट एक्सपीरियंस वाज वेरी गुड कि हमने जो फील्ड हॉस्पिटल बनाया तो पूरे 500 बेड एक ही अंडर वन रूफ थे, तो उसको हम बढ़ा रहे हैं। उस तरह के आईसीयू बेड्स हैं, और जितने भी 37,000 बेड्स हैं ऑल आर ऑक्सीजनेटेड बेड, बिना ऑक्सीजन के एक भी बेड नहीं होगा, उसको हम काउंट नहीं कर रहे हैं। जो नॉन ऑक्सीजन बेड होंगे वो अब काउंटिंग से बाहर हैं। तो 37,000 बेड्स हम सिर्फ उनको बात कर रहे हैं जो कि ऑक्सीजनेटेड बेड होंगे, और वो हमारे पास उसकी बैकअप तैयारियां हैं। और उसके लिए मैं इस बारी भी वैसे तारीफ करना चाहूंगा, दिल्ली के अंदर जितने भी हॉस्पिटल्स थे, सरकारी भी प्राइवेट भी, सबने बहुत मिलके पूरा उसमें सहयोग किया था। जो दिक्कत आई थी सबको पता है, सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत हुई थी कि ऑक्सीजन की कमी हो गई थी। किसी ने सोचा भी नहीं था कि ऑक्सीजन की ऐसी समस्या आ सकती है। हमारे को कहा गया कि अब उड़ीसा से ऑक्सीजन ले आइएगा। अब ऑक्सीजन उड़ीसा से नहीं आती थी, जो भी हॉस्पिटल लेते होंगे सबको पता है कि दिल्ली के आसपास कोई मोदी नगर से लेता था, कोई पानीपत से लेता था। अब उसको उड़ीसा से कहाँ से भी 2-1,500 किलोमीटर से कैसे लेके आए। जो समस्या आई थी बिल्कुल अलग थी, उसका भी सोल्यूशन कर रहे हैं हम। दिल्ली में बहुत बड़ी कैपेसिटीज हम लगा रहे हैं। मैं आपको बता दूं कि अभी दिल्ली सरकार ने एक इंसेंटिव स्कीम स्टार्ट की है, इसको एसोचएम के थ्रू आप बता सकते हैं कि जितने भी हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, एक तो एलएमओ स्टोरेज अगर फैसिलिटी अपने यहाँ बनाते हैं तो 1 लाख रुपया पर टन के हिसाब से दिल्ली सरकार सब्सिडी देगी आपको। नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि अगर 50 टन की एलएमओ स्टोरेज आप बनाते हैं तो मुझे बताया गया कि 70 लाख के आसपास लगते हैं, 65-70 लाख लगते हैं, 80 लाख लगते होंगे। तो उसमें 50 लाख दिल्ली सरकार दे देगी आपको। तो उसमें क्या होगा, लोगों के लिए जो कैपेसिटी 10 टन की बनानी थी, 15 की बनानी थी, 25 की बना लीजिएगा, 25 की बनानी थी 50 की बना लीजिए, 50 की बनानी थी 100 की बना लीजिएगा, एंड वी विल कंपनसेट। दूसरा हमने क्या किया कि अगर अब पीएसए प्लांट लगाते हैं स्पेसिफिकली फॉर ऑल हॉस्पिटल्स, नर्सिंग होम्स, पीएसए प्लांट लगाने के लिए भी 20 लाख रुपए टन, यानी अगर आप जितना पीएसए के प्लांट की मुझे कॉस्ट बताइए कि लगभग उसका 50% बन जाता है। 50% के करीब पैसा दिल्ली सरकार दे देगी। कैपेसिटी आप अपने आप बिल्ड इन कर लीजिएगा, एंड पैसा दिल्ली सरकार देगी। और इसके लिए, इसके साथ साथ हमने अगर टैंकर लेना है, टैंकर के लिए सब्सिडी स्कीम लाए हैं कि भी आपने अगर क्रायोजेनिक टैंकर अपने लिए लेना है उसके लिए भी है। बड़े अगर ऑक्सीजन प्लांट लगाने हैं वो तो देख लीजिए, अगर एसोसिएशन के साथ कोई पार्टनर बन के या कोई आना चाहे तो उसके लिए भी हमने पूरी सब्सिडी स्कीम दी है कि उसके अंदर हम सब्सिडी के अंदर आपको पूरा मदद करेंगे। तो ऑक्सीजन वाला जो था सबसे मतलब ऑफ गार्ड जो हम रहे थे कि ऑक्सीजन के फ्रंट के ऊपर, मैं मानता हूँ कि सरकार ऑक्सीजन के फ्रंट पे बिल्कुल आइडिया नहीं था कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि ऑक्सीजन की इतनी कमी हो सकती है। बट इस बार हम बहुत प्रिपेयर्ड हैं। हमारी जो पीक डिमांड थी 700-750 टन पर डे तक गई थी। तो हमारा इस बार ये है कि कम से कम उसमें से लगभग आधी ऑक्सीजन की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग वो दिल्ली में कर लें, पीएसए प्लांट्स के थ्रू कर लें। और उसका देखो, दिल्ली सरकार ने अपने यहाँ पर 50 से ज्यादा प्लांट्स लगा चुकी है ऑलरेडी। मुझे पता लगा कई सारे प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल भी ऑलरेडी लगा रहे हैं। तो उनकी सारे की मदद से हम करके, मुझे लगता है कि अगर 200, 250, 300 टन अगर हम अपने यहाँ मैन्युफैक्चर कर लेंगे तो शायद अगर अगली बारी इस तरह की कोई दिक्कत आती है तो उसको हम झेल पाएंगे, अच्छी तरह से कर पाएंगे। देखो इसके भी दो पार्ट है, एक है ट्रीटमेंट, एक है प्रिवेंशन। प्रिवेंशन इज ऑलवेज बेटर देन ट्रीटमेंट। लोगों को बताना तो पड़ेगा कि भाई 2 साल के एक्सपीरियंस से ये तो पता लग गया है कि इसको रोकने का सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट टूल जो है वो है मास्क। अगर पब्लिक में आप जा रहे हैं, कहीं भी घर से बाहर निकल रहे हैं, अगर 4 लोगों के बीच में भी है तो मास्क जरूर लगा लें। अगर सभी ने मास्क लगाया है तो उसको मतलब फैलने के चांसेस बहुत कम हो जाते हैं। दूसरा, ओवर क्राउडिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए, बहुत ज्यादा क्राउडेड एरियाज नहीं होने चाहिए, ज्यादा क्राउडिंग नहीं करनी चाहिए। तीसरा, मेरा ये भी मानना थोड़ा सा डराना भी चाहिए, लोगों को डरना भी चाहिए। अभी क्या होता है, अगर डर बिल्कुल निकल जाता है ना, तब बड़ी दिक्कत होती है। इस बार ये लोगों को डर वाकई में लगा है, क्योंकि उनके आसपास के लोग गए हैं छोड़ के। डेथ जो हुई है, बिल्कुल फैमिली में डेथ हुई है, रिलेटिव्स में हुई है, फ्रेंड्स में हुई है। अभी तक तो ये हो रहा था कहीं हो रही है, ये हमारे को नहीं पता कहीं ऐसा हो रहा है। अब उनके सामने एग्जाम्पल है ऐसे। तो अगर आपको सतर्क तो रहना ही पड़ेगा, जिम्मेदारी सबकी है। बाद में आप किसी को भी कृप कर लीजिएगा, अगर आप गए तो गए, कृप करने से कुछ नहीं होगा। तो इसमें जिम्मेदारी हम सबकी मिलके है कि सबको मान के चलना पड़ेगा। अगर अपने आसपास 10 लोगों को 20 लोगों को बता के रखें, सतर्क रहें। अगर कोई मास्क नहीं लगा रहा तो कह दे मास्क लगाइए, ऐसे क्यों नहीं लगा रहे आप। तो ये चीज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि सभी लोगों के अंदर उसको जाना पड़ेगा। जहां तक थर्ड वेव की बात है, जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग की बात डॉक्टर साहब कर रहे थे। जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग के लिए दिल्ली में हमने एक्सक्लूसिव 2 लैब्स अपनी बनाई है। अभी तक हमने जितने भी सैंपल जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग टेस्ट किए हैं, वो सारे डेल्टा वेरिएंट के आए हैं। मतलब डेल्टा के अलावा दूसरे वेरिएंट नहीं आ रहे हैं। और दिल्ली में जो ये 4th वेव थी, ये डेल्टा वेरिएंट की ही वेव थी। अभी जो अमेरिका में है, यूरोप में चल रही है, वो सब डेल्टा वेरिएंट है। तो हम ये भी कह सकते हैं कि शायद हमारे यहाँ डेल्टा वाली वेरिएंट की तो आ चुकी। अब इंडिया में जो भी अगर वेव आती है, जैसे केरला थोड़ा अलग है, केरला में अब डेल्टा आ रहा है, पहले डेल्टा नहीं था। केरला में अब डेल्टा वेरिएंट अब आ रहा है। इंडिया में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर वेव थर्ड आएगी तो डेल्टा प्लस या कोई वेरिएंट आएगा, तब उसके बाद आती है बात। और दिल्ली में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि क्योंकि दिल्ली में इस टाइम लेवल बिल्कुल ही जो पॉजिटिविटी रेट है 0.1% के करीब है। फिंगर क्रॉस्ड, हमारा तो मान के चलना है कि भाई कम से कम 6 महीने तो इसको लगने चाहिए अगर कोई नई वेव बनती है। होता क्या है, जब बहुत नीचे जाते हैं तो उसको बिल्टअप होने में थोड़ा समय तो लगता ही है। तो भगवान से प्रार्थना करेंगे कि पहली बात तो आए ही ना, और आए तो बड़ी लेट आए, जितना लेट आए उतना अच्छा है। पर फिर भी इसके अलावा हमें तैयारियां हर तरह से करके चलना है, कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि हम किसी चीज में फंस जाए। जैसे अभी एक आइडिया डॉक्टर साहब ने दिया कि भाई बाकी स्पेशलिस्ट के डॉक्टर्स को तैयार करें। हमने ट्रेनिंग स्टार्ट कर दी है, अपने सभी डॉक्टर्स को हम तैयार कर रहे हैं। किसी भी स्पेशलिटी का डॉक्टर है, उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, ऑल आर MBBS करने के बाद ही डॉक्टर की डिग्री मिलती है। बहुत सारे सुपर स्पेशलिस्ट हैं, ऑर्थो के हैं, मान लो पीडियाट्रिक्स हैं, कितने भी तरह के अलग अलग हैं, सर्जन हैं बहुत सारे। बहुत जल्दी, मतलब ऐसा भी नहीं होता कि उनको बहुत लंबा समय चाहिए, दे कैन ग्रास्प वेरी इजीली। तो उसके ट्रेनिंग मेथड्स हमने स्टार्ट कर दिए हैं, सबको हम ट्रेन कर रहे हैं। इवन डॉक्टर्स के अलावा जो हमारे पैरामेडिक्स हैं, नर्सिस हैं, उनको भी हम रीओरिएंट कर रहे हैं। वरना क्या होता है कि जो इसमें देखने में आया कि अचानक जब बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर आया, तो बहुत सारे लोग कहने लगे हमें तो इसका इलाज नहीं आता, हम तो इसका इलाज नहीं कर सकते हैं, हमारा तो ये डिपार्टमेंट नहीं है। तो वो सबकी ओरिएंटेशन कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा, क्योंकि अगर आप दोबारा से आती है, भाई अगर पेशेंट है तो है, अब क्या कर सकते हैं, इलाज तो करना ही पड़ेगा। तो उसके ऊपर भी सरकार पूरी तरह से कर रही है। और इसमें आप बोला, इस बार हमने जो फील्ड हॉस्पिटल्स चलाए थे, वो बहुत ही अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा था। हमने कई NGOs के साथ मिलकर चलाए, उन्होंने डॉक्टर्स का, पैरामेडिक्स का, स्टाफ का सारा हमारे को सपोर्ट दिया था। दो वी पेड फॉर देयर सैलरीज, बट उन्होंने पूरा बैकअप दिया हमारे को। बहुत ही अच्छा वो आइडिया था। फील्ड हॉस्पिटल्स में मैं बता रहा हूँ कि अब हमने ICUs बनाने स्टार्ट कर दिए हैं वहाँ पर। पिछली बार क्या हुआ था, ये भी लर्निंग रही हमारी, कि जैसे एक जगह हमने 1000 बेड बनाए, संत निरंकारी समागम बुराड़ी में है, 1000 बेड वाज रनिंग, ऑक्सीजन बेड थे। बट वहां पर क्योंकि ICU नहीं था, तो बहुत सारे पेशेंट को लगता था अगर ICU की जरूरत पड़ेगी तो क्या होगा। ICU फैसिलिटी हमारे पास थी, वहां से 2 किलोमीटर 3 किलोमीटर दूर अपना हॉस्पिटल था। तो अब हम क्या कर रहे हैं, जितने भी हमारी बड़ी इस तरह की फैसिलिटीज है, उसके अंदर ऑन साइट वहीं पर हम ICU भी बना रहे हैं। वहीं पर PSA प्लांट लगा रहे हैं, PSA प्लांट लगा के वहीं से पाइप ऑक्सीजन दे रहे हैं, पाइप ऑक्सीजन देके वहीं पर ICU फैसिलिटी क्रिएट कर रहे हैं। और दैट इज वेरी गुड, मतलब ऑप्शन है। तो उसके ऊपर हम लगे हुए हैं। और देखिएगा, अभी सबसे पहले खेतान साहब ने कहा था कि अभी जो हम नए हॉस्पिटल्स बना रहे हैं, उसको बनने में हमने कहा कि 6 महीने लगेंगे। हमें लगता है कि कई एक्सपर्ट से बात हुई, उनका ये भी कहना है कि भाई देखो, जनवरी फरवरी में शायद थर्ड वेव आएगी दिल्ली में। अगर उससे पहले आती है तो पहले की तैयारी भी हमारे पास है, अगर बाद में आती है तो बाद में के लिए हम एक्स्ट्रा तैयारी कर रहे हैं। हो सकता है थर्ड वेव के बाद फोर्थ वेव भी आती हो कभी, तो मुझे लगता है एक्स्ट्रा तैयारी करने में कोई बुराई नहीं। और वैसे भी जो भी हॉस्पिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हम बनाएंगे, तो वो तो फिर वर्षों वर्ष काम आएगा, आगे तक भी काम आएगा। हमारे पास जो 7000 हम बेड्स बनाने की अभी तैयारी कर रहे हैं, वो मुझे लगता है काफी लॉन्ग टर्म तक हमारे लिए वो काम में आएंगे, उनका हमारे को जरूरत पड़ेगी। वैक्सीनेशन के लिए दिल्ली में 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा लोगों, मतलब डोजेज अभी तक लगा चुके हैं हम लोग। और अभी वैक्सीन में बस एक ही इशू है कि वैक्सीन की अवेलेबिलिटी इज लेस, थोड़ी कम है। और अवेलेबिलिटी जैसे बढ़ेगी तो उसको काफी एग्रेसिवली हमने तैयारी की हुई है। हम एक दिन में 4-5 लाख लोगों को लगा सकते हैं दिल्ली के अंदर। और जो एल्डरली, जो इमोबाइल पीपल हैं या हैंडीकैप लोग हैं, उनको लगाने के लिए दिल्ली सरकार घर पे लगाने की तैयारी कर रही है। उनको लगाने के लिए हम जल्द ही स्टार्ट करेंगे कि भाई अपनी गाड़ी से हम वैन भेजेंगे, उनको घर पे सभी को वैक्सीनेट करेंगे। और टेस्ट रिपोर्ट का जहां तक है, आरटीपीसीआर टेस्ट रिपोर्ट डॉक्टर साहब मेरे को अलग से आप बता दीजिएगा कि 24 घंटे के अंदर हमने क्या होगा। 24 घंटे में कोई लैब नहीं दे रहे तो वी विल टेक स्टर्न एक्शन अगेंस्ट दैट। 24 घंटे के अंदर सभी लैब दे रही हैं। और 24 घंटे से जल्दी वाला जो है आपने बताया, रैट टेस्ट तो हो ही रहा है। रैट टेस्ट तो 15-20 मिनट में हो ही जाता है। अगर कोई और दूसरे टेस्ट अभी अप्रूव हुए तो बताइएगा, देखते हैं उसके लिए क्या हो सकता है। और टेस्टिंग के लिए देखो, अभी भी दिल्ली में हम 75,000 टेस्ट रोज कर रहे हैं। मुझे लगता है कि किसी भी स्टेट के अंदर पॉपुलेशन की परसेंटेज से इतने ज्यादा टेस्ट कहीं भी नहीं हो रहे हैं। मुझसे तो कई लोग पूछते हैं कि क्या वाकई में इतने कम केस आ रहे हैं, कि भाई 70 केस आए, 80 केस आए, 50 केस। उनको लगता है कि शायद कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं टेस्ट ना कर रहे हो। दिल्ली इज द ओनली स्टेट जहां पर इतनी बड़ी संख्या में अभी भी टेस्ट हो रहे हैं। और जहां तक ट्रेसिंग की बात है, अगर एक भी जगह पर 2 भी पेशेंट आ जाते हैं तो उसको हम माइक्रो कंटेनमेंट जोन बना के सील कर देते हैं। तो पर दिल्ली में अभी डिस्ट्रिक्ट वाइज डाटा डेली का हम शॉर्ट करके देखते हैं। किसी भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ऐसा नहीं कि 10 केस भी डेली आ रहे हो, ऐसा नहीं है कि 10 से ज्यादा किसी में जा रहे हैं। तो सभी जगह पर अभी, क्योंकि नंबर इतना कम है, कॉन्टेक्ट ट्रेसिंग अभी भी हम एक पेशेंट पॉजिटिव आता है तो लगभग 25 लोगों के हम कॉन्टेक्ट ट्रेसिंग उसकी कर रहे हैं। तो उसके दिल्ली के अंदर बहुत एग्रेसिवली कर रहे हैं। हाँ, हो सकता है कि काफी जगह पर शायद रिलैक्स हो गया हो। दिल्ली में हम इसको बिल्कुल भी, वी आर नॉट लोअरिंग अवर गार्ड्स। रीजन क्या है कि देखो, जो 4th वेव आई थी वो एकदम से इतनी तेजी से आई, किसी ने एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया था, किसने वार्न नहीं किया था। ऐसा भी हो सकता है। तो हम ये मान के चलते हैं कि जो दिल्ली की जो वेव थी और दुनिया देश में जो पूरी वेव आई थी, तो ये रिपीट भी हो सकती है उसी तरीके से। अभी देखो आप पूरे वर्ल्ड को आप देखेंगे, यूके के अंदर 50,000 केसेस पर डे तक आए थे अभी पीछे। लकीली वो अब कम होकर 20,000 पर डे पे आ गए। आजकल अमेरिका में 1 लाख से ज्यादा केसेस पर डे आ रहे हैं। यानी जब आ रहे हैं तो बहुत तेजी से बढ़ रहे हैं वो, मतलब केस तो आ रहे हैं तो एकदम तेजी से बढ़ रहे हैं। और अमेरिका में तो डेथ भी बहुत हो रही है, वहाँ पे 600 के करीब डेथ डेली है। यूके में शायद अभी 100 के आसपास हैं, पर अमेरिका में डेथ भी काफी नंबर्स आर वेरी हाई। तो हमारे को ये जो एक बेनिफिट मिल रहा है कि दिल्ली में हमें पता है कि अब जो वहां पर होगा तो कुछ महीने बाद यहाँ भी हो सकता है। तो हमारे को थोड़ा एडवांस वार्निंग देने के लिए यूके के बाद अमेरिका के पास, दिल्ली में तो हम कई बार मजाक में ही कहते हैं कि भाई जो भी अगर वेव आती है तो पहले वो लंदन जाती है, लंदन से यूके अमेरिका में जाती है, अमेरिका से फिर मुंबई में आती है, मुंबई से फिर दिल्ली में आती है। तो वी आर वॉचिंग, देख रहे हैं। और हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स हमेशा लगातार इस पर निगाह बना के रखे हुए हैं कि जरा भी अगर फ्लक्चुएशंस आती हैं, कुछ भी आती है, तो हम उसके लिए जो भी एक्शंस लेंगे उसके लिए हम तैयार हैं। एसोचएम को और जितनी भी इस तरह की संस्थाएं, मैं उनको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। खेतान साहब ने बताया 2 PSC प्लांट तो यही लगवा रहे हैं हमारे यहाँ पर। और इस पेंडेमिक में जो इस बारी वेव आई थी, इंडस्ट्री ने बहुत मदद की। उस मदद के लिए हम बहुत ही शुक्रगुजार हैं। जो मदद की है, कईयों ने सामने आके, कईयों ने पीछे से भी की, इतनी मदद की है, उसको देख के लगता है कि लोगों के अंदर इंसानियत है। बहुत काम किए हैं। मतलब मैं कह सकता हूँ कि देखो, आपको बताता हूँ एग्जांपल के लिए, जब अचानक बेड बढ़ाने थे, मैं निरंकारी समागम में गया देखने के लिए, उनका हॉल बना हुआ था। उन्होंने सारा काम, इवन बेड्स, फूड, एवरीथिंग दे अरेंज, एक्सेप्ट हमने सिर्फ 2 ही चीजें का इंतजाम करना, दवाइयों का और डॉक्टर्स का। बाकी सारा कुछ उन्होंने कर दिया। और कितने दिन लगे? सिर्फ 4 दिन लगे। 24 घंटे दिन और रात करके उन्होंने सारा काम किया। तो ऐसे जगह जगह गुरुद्वारा रकाबगंज में किया, लोगों ने कंसंट्रेटर दिए, डोनेट किए, लोगों ने ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर डोनेट किए। मतलब जो कुछ भी बन सकता था, इंडस्ट्री ने और इंडिविजुअल लोगों ने बहुत मदद की। और उसको, मतलब मैं मानूंगा कि इंसानियत बाकी है, तभी इतना अच्छा हुआ। और एसएचएम को भी, उनके सभी मेंबर्स को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा। थैंक यू, थैंक्स अ लॉट।
Thank you very much, sir. May I now invite Dr. Vivek Dangia, Chief of Pulmonology, Cluster 1, Max Healthcare.
I have to leave.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So may I now invite Dr. Vivek Nange, Chief of Pulmonology, Cluster 1, Max Healthcare, and Principal Director and Head, Institute of Respiratory, Critical Care, and Sleep Medicine, Max Hospital, to share his special address at this session.
Dr. Lalit Khetan sir, Chairman ASSOCHAM Central Region Development Council and CMD Radico Khetan, Dr. Sudhir Kalhan, Commodore Navneet Lee, and all the members who've logged in today, a very warm good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Lalit Khetan sir for inviting me to this prestigious platform. I'm truly honored. Most of what I was to say has already been covered by Dr. Sudhir Kalhan as well as Sri Satyendra Jain ji, our chief guest. But I think just for the sake of repetition, reiteration, I would call it, and to elaborate on some of the points that have been raised here, I will start with saying that COVID illness is a viral illness, which to begin with appears like a simple cold, cough, and flu-like. But in some people, it can take a turn for the worse and prove to be fatal. In many others, it leaves behind a lingering kind of an inflammation, which results in a myriad of post-COVID syndromes that include body aches, joint pains, fever, breathlessness, diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol issues, anxiety, depression, brain fog, where people are unable to concentrate, their memory lapses. So not only does it result in an acute illness and death, but also that it leaves behind a huge burden of chronic and long-lasting ailments which we are still facing and probably will continue to face for the next months to come. This illness is caused by a coronavirus, which by origin was an animal virus, but underwent certain mutations and transformations and spilled over into the humans in the animal market of Wuhan sometime in December 19, January 2020, and since then has been rampaging the whole globe as a pandemic. Very early in the pandemic itself, the WHO had stated very, very clearly in so many words that this virus may never go away. It has entered our ecology and is here to stay. The main reason why this virus may never go away is its ability to mutate. Many viruses have the ability to mutate, but this particular one can really mutate dramatically. It started with alpha variant, beta, gamma, and as you've been hearing, we've been dealing with the delta variant of late. There are so many others to come, lambda, kappa, epsilon, the list is endless. When there's a minor mutation or drift, as we call it, they produce viruses that are closely related to one another and hence do not harm us. But when there's a major mutation, what we call it as a shift, that can be dangerous. That becomes very challenging. These viruses become more strong, more transmissible, more infectious, and cause a major impact on our bodies because our immune system is not prepared to handle it. So having undergone so many mutations already, it's the Delta variant which is the dominant problem right now across the globe. As Sri Satyendra Jain ji also said, we have dealt with Delta variant already in Delhi, but then this Delta variant can also get mutated into some other variant and start causing problem anytime. So while we're discussing about the possibility of the third wave or the fifth wave now, I don't know what the number would be, but the authorities are warning that the Delta-driven second wave is not over yet. We're still reporting around 40,000 cases daily across the country. There are 8 to 10 states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, where the numbers are still rising. The reproductive value or the R value of this virus right now is more than 1 in these areas. That means one infected person can infect 1.2, 1.6 people from one infection. And please note that this R figure had come down to 0.6 till some time back. So as long as this R figure is high, the chances of transmission and the wave coming back are very high. So what can save us? It is again reiterating what everybody has been saying so far, that COVID appropriate behavior is very, very essential. We have to continue wearing mask. Probably double masking is the answer. When you're wearing a mask, you ensure that it covers your nose, mouth, and covers right up to the chin, and it's all snugly fitted. The idea of double mask is that one, it provides 2 layers of protection, and second, that if one of the 2 masks is ill-fitting, then the other will cover up for it. Hand sanitization is very essential. Maintaining a social distance is very, very essential. One should only travel if it is very important. I think this virus travels with the crowds. It loves crowds. So avoid gatherings, avoid parties, avoid congregations. Proper ventilation is equally important so that the virus doesn't remain stagnated inside the room. There should be proper ventilation wherever it is. I know fatigue and boredom is now starting to plague the people, but I think just another 2 to 3 months should help us. This is the important time if we have to prevent ourselves from the next wave. Then if we follow all these precautions for next 2 to 3 months, I think we may just be safe. Another very important, and in fact, the most important weapon that we have against this virus is vaccination. The maximum number of cases are being reported from areas where the vaccination rates are low. For example, in the US, Missouri, Mississippi, Arizona, Florida, the places where the vaccination rate is low and the maximum number of cases are being reported. Africa is already battling its third wave, and so are some parts of Europe, America, and Eastern Mediterranean countries. It's all thanks to the Delta variant and not enough vaccinated people yet. So, if you actually compare the population vaccinated, UAE has already achieved 72%, Singapore 61%, Britain 58%. That is why they are now thinking of opening up. In fact, have opened up majorly. USA is still at 50%. So they have again gone back to the recommendation of masking. India, we are at a measly of 7.5% yet and have a long way to go. According to the serosurveillance data that was conducted, 2/3 of the general population have antibodies against SARS. Of course, this is a good sign, but at the same time, it is important to remember that Delhi went through this devastating second wave, despite the fact that a serosurveillance study done on January 21st showed a seropositivity of 56%. That means 56% people were already having antibodies against the virus, yet we had such a disastrous wave that we had recently. Also, the point to be noted is that 1/3 of the population still does not have antibodies. That means 40 crores are still vulnerable to catching this infection. All the vaccines are good. They have similar efficacy, similar side effects profile. Minor side effects are to be ignored. Major side effects are rare. Everybody above the age of 18, irrespective of what premorbid illness they have, what medicines they are taking, should go ahead and take the vaccination immediately. Vaccines prevent us from serious illness. So about 0.4% died amongst those who got infected after the inoculation. And only about 10% required hospitalization. This is according to the recent ICMR study. So according to this study, the deaths due to COVID-19 was 1.17 per thousand amongst those who were unvaccinated, whereas it reduced to 0.21 per thousand in those who had received one jab and 0.06 per thousand in people who had received 2 jabs of the vaccination. So 2 jabs is the most important step that we need to all of us to take. What is actually said is that COVID infection plus 2 jabs provide you good immunity to face this Delta variant or any other variant that may come. So the factors that favor the possibility of a third wave are: one, the mutation of the virus, a 40 crore vulnerable population, inadequate vaccine coverage so far, lifting up of restrictions, and it is believed that whenever you lift the restrictions, another 6 to 8 weeks later, the number of cases starts to rise, and our complacency with COVID appropriate behavior. Now comes the big question: are we prepared for the third wave? Well, I think we've already discussed these issues, that the major issue that came in our way was the manpower. It is very important to train more and more number of people, more number of doctors, whether internal medicine physicians or even the surgical colleagues. And this is what we did towards the fag end of the last wave. We started training our surgical colleagues to at least be able to handle the mild cases, the milder varieties. Since there's an expectation that pediatric population may be more affected, so we're also upgrading our pediatricians, upgrading our physicians to be able to handle the pediatric population. We at Max are creating our own training modules to upscale the skills. Focus is on pediatric care this time. And of course, the the SOPs and the protocols are being laid down. They were there last time also, but this time it's being ensured that everybody is going through those protocols and will be implementing, so that one standard care is being extended across all the Max group of hospitals. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, we creating more ICU beds, because this is what we realized this time, that when the peak comes, the milder cases can be managed at home, but the severe ones require the ICU care, which is what sometimes lacks in a hospital. So we are upgrading some of our beds into ICU beds. There is a possibility of augmenting at a short notice. The equipment augmentation to support the case surge in pediatric population is being taken care of. Physical changes possible in the matter of hours to segregate COVID-19 patients from the other in-house patients. All those are being laid down. Oxygen supply is being ensured. Availability of drugs shall be ensured. In fact, there were a couple of suggestions that I had in mind, that we should actually start working on these home care services also, train their doctors as well to be able to handle patients at home. Not everybody could reach the hospital this time. And probably if they were properly trained home care services, then we might not have had so many deaths as we had. And also, if we could get the insurance companies to reimburse for domiciliary treatment also, then I guess our purpose would be served to a large extent. We've also understood that it's important to keep the non-COVID patients segregated from COVID and yet continue their care as well, so that that is not compromised. So those efforts are also being made in our organization, where non-COVID areas have been delineated, demarcated, so that even at a short notice, that would not suffer. The need of the hour for all of us is to have ultra rapid test for diagnosis. We have a 20-minute RAT test, then we have the GeneXpert test, and then finally the RT-PCR test. The GeneXpert test usually reported available within 2 hours. But if there is something which can even gauge prior to the onset of symptoms, that is something that we should be looking at. I guess research needs to focus on that, where in the asymptomatic phase, you could detect it and probably isolate the patient. Tracking the patient, tracking COVID infections, contact tracing is very, very important. Identifying clusters and clinical severity, tracking the variants of the virus is very important, and creating micro containment zones is what is going to help us. With this, I'd like to thank all of you for patiently listening to me, and I wish you all and your families good health always. And thank you again, Asochem, for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Nangeji, for sharing your insights with us on this important topic. May I now invite Madam Upasana Arora ji. She is a co-chairman of ASSOCHAM Healthcare Council as well as the ASSOCHAM Empowerment Council. She is also chairperson of Yashoda Super Specialty Hospital to share the concluding remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. And I was listening carefully to all my colleagues, and it was wonderful to listen that you people are already working so hard and preparing yourself, and all healthcare workers are also ready to, fight with this third wave. As our minister also said that they are actually preparing and making new beds for third wave. It is very good because we cannot ignore this third wave. It has to come. When it will come, then if we will prepare ourselves in advance, then we can, deal with it easily. Like oxygen, last time it was a big problem. Now government is providing subsidy, and few of our industrialists are also, like Mr. Khitan is also providing 6 oxygen plants free of cost to others. Same time, like Dr. Kalhan has said that we need to focus on non-COVID patient, and Dr. Nangia was also talking about non-COVID patient, that we should look after them also. It is not like that everybody is focusing only on COVID patient, and if God forbid third wave comes and everybody will be busy with COVID patient, then non-COVID patients are actually really suffered in our second wave. So we should look after them also. And for that, it's a very good step that other specialties are also ready to trained for COVID cases. So that is a very right decision. And what I feel that it is high time to look after ourselves properly, because normal flu is here. Same time, swine flu also came, and this corona is also here. So it is very difficult for a common man to differentiate between these three. So one needs to be always careful, and double masking, as Dr. Nangia was telling, that double masking is required. So I think it should be a awareness campaign should always go on, that so that general public always keep their self behaving like a COVID appropriate behavior, always masking and hand hygiene. And with the SOCHM and with other our chambers and with the help of hospitals, we need to spread this news that we should not feel relaxed, because this is a biggest problem with the crowd, that everybody is not wearing mask and they are doing parties and everything, and nobody feels like that there is any danger of this Delta variant. Because when America is not able to control, UK is not able to control, so how can we are also, we have to face this problem. So we need to spread this message as much as possible, that please be careful and always take precautions. With these words, I am really thankful to all my participants, especially Minister Sahab, Mr. Khitan, Dr. Nangia, Dr. Kalhan, who is my colleague also. So it's nice to hear all of you. And thanks SOCHM for providing us this opportunity that we can talk about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Avinashi, can I, because
Yes,
I was
sir.
interrupted,
Yes,
I
sir.
have one or
Yes,
two
sir.
points which I wanted to, touch, which were left, and I think which will be very relevant,
Sure,
is
sir.
that what are the positive things that we learned in the second wave, especially towards the fag end of the second wave. I think one important thing was that people rose to the occasion, and we had a lot of RWAs, we had a lot of corporate houses actually making a kind of a small triage in their own areas. And we had digital healthcare, online video conferencing coming to the rescue of many people. At least I can very proudly say I must have saved about 100, 200 lives giving them online advice through video conferencing. And I think Dr. Nangia will agree with me that everybody did that. So I think the time has also come to, kind of formalize and kind of, make a pathway in which video conferencing becomes a norm rather than just a temporary phenomena. Also, I think ASSOCHAM can do something very responsible, anticipating the possible third, fourth waves, and Mr. Khitan is also here, that all the corporate houses who have, I would say, more than 100 employees or 200 employees, all these corporate houses have been very benevolent in donating concentrators and other things to us. I think a reverse can also be done, that whenever we have this large corporate houses with a lot of employees, probably we can establish a 5 to 10 bedded triage in their compounds, where Khitanji, these employees, if they fall sick, they don't have to panic around and run around the hospitals. Probably they can be stabilized, and probably with a tie-up with one of the major hospitals, they can be stabilized there. They can be given online consultation. All you need to do is keep a small television there and a small software through which we can probably talk to your medical officer or your paramedical staff, and we can actually tell them what to monitor and how to stabilize. And once everything is in control, we can actually then transfer those patients to wherever the beds are available. So what happened in the second wave was that people panicked. They died in their cars. They died on the roads. They died running from one hospital to another. Those lives could have been saved if, without panicking, we just had treated them somewhere in a triage in a simpler way. So I think that is something which ASSOCHAM can do, working hands-on with all our other industry partners and offering to help them establish a small triage in all their compounds where they have more than 100 patients. And that triage can also work in long term by managing so many other medical emergencies if and when they arrive. So they don't have to keep a 24/7 doctor there. All they have to do is have a video conferencing facilities there. And through a video conferencing facility, our consultants or our experts can talk to them and guide them and see to it that things are taken care of. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So with this, we come to the end of this very important session, and I would like to convey my sincere thanks to Lalit Khitanji Shri Sudhir Kalanji, Dr. Vivek Nangia ji, Madam Upasana Arora ji, and Honorable Minister for sparing their time and joining us for this session. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nangia.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Lovely meeting.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalan, Dr. Nangia, Upai, everybody.
Thank you,
Very
sir.
kind of joined us, particularly. I think everybody's deliberation was brilliant, actually. So much knowledge and knowledge from practical experience. It was not a book knowledge, So the convincing
Absolutely.
power is so much higher because you are talking. Thank you, sir. Very, very grateful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
अनूप एंड कर दो इस इवेंट को.